So what are things that unite all Americans? Let's have a geography talk. So in every country episode of Geography Now, we have four main sections. We have political geography, physical geography, demographics, and the friend zone or diplomatic geography. You know, we talk about maps, we talk about landscape and resources and trade and music and culture and all that stuff. We try to cover everything about a country. So in this video, we're going to try to cover something more on the social side, the demographics of the USA. So I am American, and the largest demographic of viewers on my channel are, shocker, my fellow Americans. And although I usually try to put more of like an international emphasis on my content, once every so often, I kind of like to pay tribute to my fellow Americans, my people. And trying to explain what unites all Americans, that's not the easiest job, because this country is super diverse. There's so many ethnic groups, there's so many subcultures within communities and peoples that have their own thing going on. It's like a free-for-all in this country. And that's one thing that makes an American American, the fact that you're allowed to kind of figure yourself out. But for what it's worth, I've compiled a list, and my fellow Americans, if you're watching right now, please, by all means, correct me if I'm wrong on any of this stuff or add stuff to this list if you want. But I've compiled a list of things that I personally believe are cultural tropes that we Americans share and have, that we all kind of have a common understanding of. Regardless of who you are, where you live, I don't care if you're from Alaska or Florida, and technically Alaska is just North Florida because crazy things happen there too. I don't care what race you are, I don't care what belief system you come from, I don't care what your political ideology is. There are some things that transcend all of that, and generally all Americans kind of have these cultural understandings. And just a little disclaimer, a lot of these things on the list, I believe they're probably going to apply more to the millennials, maybe some older Gen Xers, maybe some of the very early born Gen Zers. Gen Zers sometimes get these things. I'm not sure about the alphas. You guys are pretty young and you kind of have a whole new thing going on. And beta, did you guys know that Gen Beta just got born? What was it? 2023 was the first wave of Gen Beta being born. Like Gen Alpha, you guys are already like yesterday's news. You guys are already too old now. Like Beta is being born, and they're gonna get so much flack for being called betas. Anyway, and Americans, play along with me. Tell me if I'm right on these, okay? Let's begin. Okay, thing number one, and I mentioned this in the USA episode. In the USA, let's say there are 2 or 3 people talking, they're right next to you, they're like 3 or 4 feet away, and they're talking about something, and you just can't help but listen in on what they're talking about. You understand what they're talking about. You are passionate about the very same thing that they are talking about, and you can chime in, and you have the ability to add to this conversation. In the USA, it is socially acceptable to kind of budge your way into that conversation and give your mind. I like to call this the American interruption. In a way, it is sort of kind of socially acceptable for you to interrupt people's conversations to give your opinion if you really feel like you have the ability to do so. But here's the thing, you have to be confident and you have to be able to know what you're talking about. Because here's the thing, I noticed in a lot of countries, it's considered very rude to interrupt people in the middle of their conversations. But in the USA, it's okay if you really can stand your ground and you really feel like you can add to the conversation. If you are a fan of some kind of music artist and you hear these people talking about the very same person that you are a fan of, and they're also fans, and they're saying something, and you just can't hold it in and you gotta say something, you're allowed to interrupt them and say, yeah, and you know what? And then add to that conversation. In America, you can interrupt people. It's weird. It's a very strange social art form that we have, the American interruption. Thing number 2, every American has some kind of commercial jingle or TV show theme song stuck in their head. I don't know what it is for the new generation, although this is the one thing I kind of don't like. Recently, they kind of stopped doing theme songs with words and lyrics, and now it's just instrumentals, like Game of Thrones, come on, I want to sing along to something. Gen Z, I believe, was the last generation of real lyrical theme songs for TV shows. Okay, so let me play a game with you, Americans. See how many of these you can get. Okay, if you're an American, I'm pretty sure most of you will know these, okay? Let's start with commercial jingles. Finish the song. Song number 1. Doom. Do 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 do. Ooh ah. Bum 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 bum. Number 2. The best part of waking up. Number 3. This might be for the older generation, but I want my baby back, baby back, baby back. I want my baby back, baby back, baby back. I want my. This one might be a little easier. Even some alphas might get this one. Like a good neighbor. How about this one? I know a lot of you might get this one. Love that chicken from For all my people living in Chicago, I know you know this one. 588-2300. And that's the thing, sometimes we have like regional commercials that people understand per city, but yeah, that's the thing. Like I think most Americans will know most of those commercial jingles. Okay, now let's do TV shows, okay? This might apply to some of the older Americans. I don't know what alphas are watching these days, but if you're like a millennial, late Gen Z, or maybe Gen Xer, you might get a lot of these, okay? Let's see if you know this one. Everywhere you look, everywhere you look. Okay, this next one, if you don't know it, I swear you cannot be American. Everybody even the alphas probably know this one, okay? In West Philadelphia, born and raised, on the playground is where I spend most of my days. Let's see, this one's kind of universal. Let's see if you know this one. Sunny day, sweeping the clouds away. Okay, now this one, if you kind of came from like a working class family that didn't have cable TV and you had to watch public access, you probably know this one, okay? Every day when you're walking down the street, everybody that you meet. Okay, and this one, literally everybody in the world knows. If you don't know this one, like, it's not even an American at this point. Everybody in the world knows this one. So no one told you life was gonna be this way. And here, now let's move on to the black TV shows, because see, like, black American culture is a whole other thing. But here's the deal. We have a lot of exposure to it in our media. So even if you're not black, chances are you're going to have some kind of degree of familiarity with it, okay? Now let's see. These are the classics. So I would guess maybe some millennials and Gen Xers, maybe some early born Gen Zers will get these, but let's see how well you do. If you're black in America, you probably have an understanding of these TV show theme songs, okay? It's a rare condition this day and age. Now the world don't move to the beat of just one drum. Keeping your head above water, catching a wave when you can, temporary layoffs. And the last one, come on, so classic. Everybody at the cookout knows this one. Fish don't fry in the kitchen, beans don't burn on the grill. All my black Americans, come on, you gotta know that one. The next thing, food culture. See, in the USA, there are no standard food rules. Some countries are very strict. You must have breakfast, lunch, dinner. Breakfast, lunch, dinner. You cannot drink a cappuccino until after 11 a.m. They're very strict with the way how they eat. Here in the USA, you can do whatever the you want, and there's no shame. Some people in this country, they actually are strict with their meals. They have 3 meals a day. Some people, they graze all day and don't even have a single actual meal. Some people count the calories and prep their meals and put them in the freezer for their workout regime. Like, you could do anything here. To us, it's all about speed and options. I mean, we invented the fast food industry. So from a young age, we're kind of accustomed in our brain to the concept of I can have what I want, how I want right now. We love customizing everything to our specific individual desires. And this is why we have so many like buffets and like self-serve food venues where you have to like pay by the weight. We love choosing whatever we want, how much of it we want, and the way we want it. And because our food is so fast and available, we realized we don't always have to sit down and eat a meal with friends and family and chat for hours. Like, I know in the Mediterranean, like in Spain and Italy, they have like the sobremesa, or what do you call it? The l'heure de l'apéritif, where they just like sit at a cafe and talk for hours with their friends. Like, that's cool. I get it. But after like 30 minutes, it's like, okay, we're done eating. Let's do something else. Like, I don't want to just sit here. I want to do some more stuff. Come on, let's get up and do something. Like, why do you have to sit at a table after you're done eating and keep talking? Like, dude, just come on. There's a whole world out there to do stuff with. Come on, like, why do you 30 minutes tops and then done? And that's the other thing we realized. We don't even have to sit down and eat. We can move and eat at the same time. It's like you're getting 2 things done at once. We Americans were very impatient. It's like, you know, time is money, okay? I don't got time to sit down and eat and chat for hours, okay? I got stuff to do. In America, it's totally acceptable to walk and eat at the same time. We do it all the time. I don't have time to sit down and chat. I gotta get this donut in my face and then get some calories and move down the street. And everything is just so instantly available. We literally have machines at 7-Eleven that will shoot out chili and cheese that you can put on your hot dogs. If you sit down in a restaurant, oftentimes they'll just give you a glass of ice water. And we put ice in our water and drinks. Why do we like putting ice in our drinks? I don't know, maybe because drinks taste good when they're cold? Unless if it's supposed to be hot, like coffee. And we even put ice in our coffee. It's refreshing, okay? Especially if you're like, it's a hot day and you want something cold, right? Ice equals cold, refreshing when hot. It's not rocket science. And we need to cool down our bodies all the time because we Americans, we burn up real fast. You know, we're always burning those calories. Do you have any idea how many calories it takes to move a fork of food to your mouth? That takes a lot of energy, man. We got to cool down after that workout, you know, the fork action. Now here's the takeaway. We Americans are fully aware that our food has a lot of bad stuff in it. It's not something we're not aware of. Well, unfortunately, a lot of people still are, but most of us are aware, okay? We've seen the videos of what goes in chicken nuggets, and we know the food is specifically designed to be addictive. I have literally had this happen to me when my non-American friends come and visit me and they buy like junk food off of the shelves. Here, let me do an impression of my non-American friends when they visit me. Ugh, why do you Americans eat this? There's too much flavoring. It's like you're trying too hard. My country does it way better. I don't understand why this is appealing to you guys. Like, why do you like this stuff? I don't understand why you keep buying this and eating it. Like, I don't know. You Americans are so stupid for eating this. Like, I don't get why. I shouldn't have done that. American processed food isn't always made to be the best tasting. It's made to be the most addictive and hypnotic, and it traps you. And like, we Americans know this. Like, it's not a hidden secret. Like, if you look at the ingredients list, there's like 400 ingredients of like God knows what with a bunch of chemicals that you can't even pronounce. But then after we eat it, we're just like, whatever, I'll make up for it by doing a few sit-ups. Like, if we die, we die. It's so sad, but it's true. You know what's even crazier? You can literally go to the FDA website and they post up their standards list on all of the ingredients and even contaminants that are allowed in processed foods when selling. For example, you can sell frozen berries with up to 60% mold. Peanut butter is allowed up to 30 insect fragments and 1 rodent hair per 100 grams. Also things like titanium dioxide, BHT, artificial dyes, and those are all allowed in our food. And according to the FDA, these are insignificant levels that will not harm if ingested. They even once promoted dipping pizza in chocolate. And this is just something we have to kind of accept. That's why there's kind of a food revolution going on in America right now, because this is yeah. In a way, food is the cause of and solution to all our problems. Just grab some chemicals and shove it down your gullet. That's the American way. Oh my God, that came out wrong. I just want to clarify, no, I am not actually advocating people shove chemicals down their gullet. It was a joke. It was a joke, guys, okay? I just have to clarify because, you know, all these rules and internet, blah, blah, blah. Whatever, go ahead, cancel me. I'm already kind of dead inside. Anyway, off that topic. Another thing Americans all bond over is our collective hatred of tax season. American kids, you're still in like the free trial period of your life, so you don't have to worry about this because you don't pay taxes. But for us adults, tax season in the USA is like a looming, impending war that is just beyond the horizon every April 15th when it comes up. And every American has like their own strategy, because here's the thing, even our tax system in this country is like a free-for-all. There are so many ways you can play around with it and mess with it and kind of like figure things out. There's so many like loopholes and like hidden write-offs that you can do. Some people do the registering an LLC approach where they hide like half of their income so it makes it look like they make less and then they pay tax on that income. And like the problem is, if you do that, yes, you get away with paying less, but then you won't be able to apply for like buying a property or loans. It's like a twisted choose your own adventure game with so many different outcomes. And here's the problem. Most schools in America don't teach financial literacy. So when you graduate high school, you're like, okay, the mitochondria is the powerhouse of the cell and A squared plus B squared equals C squared. But it's like, you don't know what a 1099K form is or how to write off a dependent. In this country, you have to kind of like just awkwardly teach yourself in your 20s and like hope for the best. This is why so many Americans get a CPA or certified personal accountant. CPAs are like the unsung heroes of America. Not only do they know like every loophole and trick of the trade, but they know how to like trick the IRS to the point where like even if you are a sole proprietor with your own business and you barely did anything, you could even maybe get a refund. I've seen it happen before. Like, my goodness, what did you do with all those numbers? Tax season. Ooh, Americans. One other thing we Americans love to bond over. So the USA is the entertainment capital of the world. And one thing, we are masters at getting people's attention. And one thing we invented that we really like to bond over, trashy reality TV. Some people in the academic world have even gone so far as to label this as an art form. It puts a strategic emphasis on sensationalism and lowbrow entertainment. Hate it all you want, you're watching it and you can't stop. It's like our food. It has weird chemicals that hypnotize you. It's just there's something appealing about watching people that are trashy and doing worse than you in life and making really bad decisions and agreeing to embarrass themselves themselves on national TV. It's almost like therapeutic and self-reassuring. The only country on earth that could possibly surpass us in this art form is maybe Mexico. Have you seen the stuff they make? Like Jose Luis and like Laura, and technically Laura is like Peruvian, but the Peruvians hated her and they like kicked her out and now she's in exile in Mexico. That's a whole other story. The Latin American world is crazy, man. And speaking of entertainment, one thing we also like to bond over, we Americans, we really like attention. Even our introverts like attention. People will cringishly record themselves in their cars having mental breakdowns, all for the sake of hoping that people will watch them. I admit, even I kind of want attention. I wouldn't be on YouTube if I didn't. Like, attention is kind of like the real currency in America. You know, it's like a lot of people would rather be less wealthy but well known rather than unknown and rich. Being known and having relevancy is like a status symbol in the USA. Now, granted, this mostly only applies to like younger people and new money millionaires. Real rich people, like the billionaires, they like to keep things more low key, and that's a whole other thing. Even if you don't like showing your face, like you want your comment in the comment section to get the most likes, or you want your profile to still get like somehow, some way, you still want people to acknowledge you. It's the way how the American mindset is kind of built. And speaking of having mental breakdowns in cars, that's the other thing. The car is such a ubiquitous part of the American experience, and it usually ends up playing a key role in many of our lives. Like, even if you don't own a car and even if you don't like cars, somehow, some way, you will find yourself in a very serious life moment that involves being in a car. Whether you're having a long, serious discussion with a friend, or you're on a long road trip and you're like figuring yourself out, chances are, at some point, every American is gonna have some kind of serious moment in a car. Like, for some, it's like the car is like our safe space, you know? I've said it in the USA episode, there is nothing more American than sitting in your car at 3 a.m. in a Walmart parking lot, eating Taco Bell, contemplating life choices. I don't know, maybe because it's like a small little safe capsule that you can fit in, that nobody can come in, that protects you and shields you. And then it's just you and yourself, or you and another person, just you guys with your own intimate thoughts where you can just be safe and secure in this little metal capsule that protects you. And that's why I think so many Americans record themselves when they're in their cars. Whether it's a mukbang or a mental breakdown, we do things in our cars. And that's the other thing that we all Americans connect over. The fact that we Americans have the craziest stories. Like 73% of which belong to the state of Florida alone. We even have a game here called the Florida Man Birthday Challenge, or Florida Woman Birthday Challenge. You just like Google your birthday plus Florida Man or Florida Woman, and then chances are something crazy happened on that day in Florida. Florida Man finds iguana hiding in his toilet. Florida Man's joyride in stolen ambulance ends at sheriff's office. Wanted Florida woman found hiding inside of couch. 73-year-old woman was worried about the meth she was smoking, so she took it to the doctor. Florida woman threatens hair salon with machete, poops in patrol car. Mom arrested after letting children ride in an inflatable pool on top of a vehicle. Police arrest man who claims playing basketball naked enhances his skill level. Florida man driving Cadillac from sunroof says he'd rather go to jail than back to his wife. Man caught on video licking doorbell for 3 hours. Florida couple uses pet alligator to reveal 10th child gender. Florida woman drops pants, licks man, dances naked in Waffle House parking lot. Oh my god, a Waffle House is basically the Florida of food restaurant chains in America. If Florida has like 73% of all the crazy stories in America, chances are half those stories probably happened at a Waffle House. There's even a joke here in America, if you want to apply for a job at Waffle House, you have to know how to fight, because they are usually open 24 hours a day, and chances are you will see some go down. I will say though, Waffle House, they do got some good grits, okay? They're the egg and bacon grits. Ooh, I don't care if it's 3 a.m. and there's so many crackheads and gangbangers. I'm gonna beat my way through that whole crowd to get my grits. And finally, the last thing that Americans kind of have this general understanding of is the fact that we have lived our whole existence in a racially heterogeneous nation. The point is, you will probably encounter people that look different from you everywhere you go in this country. This is just something that's ingrained within our psyche on a regular mundane basis. And I know outside of the USA, there's kind of like this prevailing narrative that America is such a racist country. And to which I say to that, like, yeah, there is some racism, but like, I would challenge you. Walk down the street of any major American city, okay? Chicago, New York, Houston, New Orleans, Little Rock, Denver, whatever. What are you going to see? You're gonna notice that there is some degree of racial diversity in all these cities. You know, you're gonna see whites, blacks, Hispanics, Asians, whatever, what have you. There's gonna be some degree of racial diversity. And then what do you notice? All these people are just eating their lunches, buying shampoo, school, going to work, going about their days. No matter what race they are, they're just kind of walking alongside each other and minding their own damn business. Granted, we aren't always holding hands and singing Kumbaya 24/7/11, no. But at the very least, in this country, we've sort of reached a sort of observable racial indifference amongst each other. And that's not to say, of course, some people do have their prejudices and openly express them. And yes, of course, racial tensions will always exist in any kind of racially diverse society. It's like you can't get rid of that. And let me tell you something. I've been to 33 of the 50 states in the USA, and I've been to Puerto Rico as well. I've observed how things happen all over the country. The West Coast, East Coast, the Midwest, the South. I've been to Alaska, Hawaii. I guarantee you, walk down the street of any major area, most people just don't really care if they notice someone looks different from them. Like, we're just used to it as Americans. Do people conjure up thoughts in their heads and maybe they have their own personal biases in their heads? Yeah, sure. But like, this type of social structure is not new to us. We're used to it. We know we're gonna encounter people that look different from us. It's not shocking to us. Most of the time, not all the time, but most of the time, if you just mind your damn business, you probably will be okay here. Just mind your own damn business. And personally, I think that's the biggest strength of the USA, the fact that we have people from every corner of the world being able to tell their story and contribute something to this society. Not every country in the world has that. So my fellow Americans, how did I do? Was I kind of in the ballpark? Did I get some stuff right? Or I don't know. You're probably going to disagree with some of the stuff I said, but generally, did I kind of get it? Whatever. At the end of the day, the point is, if you are American, like if you're an American citizen, hell, even if you're a green card holder, which means you're basically like engaged to America and you're going to have your wedding soon and join the family, which is great. Woohoo. If you're an American, you're my family, okay? I don't care who you are, what your story is, what your background is. We might not even get along with each other. Hell, we might even hate each other. We might argue about everything all the time. But like, that's normal. That's what families always do. The point is, you're an American, you're my family. At the end of the day, I'm always gonna have your back, okay? Even if I don't like you, I'm gonna have your back. You're my family. And if you are like undocumented, or if you are like on a temporary visa and it's gonna expire soon, but like you want to immigrate here and you want to be an American and you really feel like you want this to be your home and you want to be part of the family and you're working on it, I would say, I really hope you guys take the proper steps to do that, to join the family. And when you do, I'm excited to have you. As long as you're a person of good character and want to build up this place and be a part of the family and you want to be an American, then great. I'm excited to have you part of the family. Just be a good person, all right? That's it. And look, I know the political atmosphere right now. I know a lot of people are saying a lot of things and they're just trying to like, oh, well, I don't like being an American because blah, 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 blah. To which I'd say like, dude, I don't know. I'm just the type of guy who wants to advocate unity amongst my people. And yeah, it's not going to happen overnight. There's a lot of things we could discuss, but I want to strive towards unity. I want to strive towards making my family a family. And if you want to hate me for that, go ahead. I don't care. I'm going to go down as someone who tried to unify things, not break things apart. Okay? That's it. So yeah, my fellow Americans, just let me know how I did. If I did terrible, feel free to destroy me in the comments, because apparently that's also an American tradition. Anonymously hiding on the internet and trying to destroy people. Hope you guys have a good one. Cheers. Stay cool. Stay tuned.